club tried to make it seem like Deco has a plan for everything. Everything is planned with him. He's got a plan A, plan B, plan C, which is all a bunch of lies. There is no plan B when it comes to Deco. There's always plan A or bust. And when plan A doesn't work, then we panic and when we make an emergency signing. We need to have a conversation about Deco. Again. Now, for those of you guys who are long-time subscribers, you guys know my feelings when it comes to Deco as a sporting director. I don't like him. I don't trust him. I don't think he does a good job. I think that this guy has been stealing a living for the past 3 seasons. And honestly, guys, we are here on the 3rd season as sporting director of Barcelona, Deco. And for the 3rd season in a row, Barcelona are in the transfer window, summer transfer window, and we are once again left with nothing more than frustrations. We were frustrated last season because of the transfer window. We were frustrated in the season before that. And here we are in the 26-27 season. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, we are frustrated. Why are we frustrated, ladies and gentlemen? Well, we're frustrated because once again, guys, for the 3rd year in a row, we are caught up in another transfer saga. Julian Alvarez this year. Last season, it was Nico Williams. The season before, it was Nico Williams and Dani Olmo. And here we are again. And honestly, guys, I am making this video because I want to basically give you guys my honest reasons why I don't trust Deco, and I really have been skeptical about him throughout his time as our sporting director. For those of you guys who know, before we had Deco as sporting director, the former sporting director was Mateu Alemany, who is currently Atletico Madrid's sporting director. He was our sporting director from 2021 to 2024. And he made a lot of good deals. And he was an incredible sporting director for the players he brought in this team. A very, very trustworthy sporting director. One of my favorite people at this club. And his work, the work that he made in the 2 seasons and a half that he had at Barcelona, he did so much more from what I had witnessed, which is the big reason why I don't like Deco. Mateu Alemany, one thing about him and what made him such an incredible sporting director is his effectiveness of getting deals done. One of the reasons why I get frustrated with Deco as a sporting director is because this man has a set of objectives. He comes into the season with a certain plans of who he wants to sign. This season, his plan was to sign Julian Alvarez. He wanted to sign a defender. He was supposed to sign a fullback. We were told that we were going to make defensive reinforcements. We were told that we were going to make attacking reinforcements. And though he signed Gordon and Adeyemi, those are not the deals that Barcelona fans were looking at. And when you look at some of the players we've missed out on due to this saga, and when you look at the patterns from last season, when we were going after Nico Williams and we didn't look at Luis Diaz enough, when we didn't look at other players like Lookman in the transfer window, we overlooked all these guys because we just wanted Nico Williams. And then Nico Williams shafted us. And when he shafted us, then all of a sudden the club were panicking. So we panicked and we got in Rashford, who was a good signing, did his job, did well. But that is one of my biggest frustrations when it comes to Deco. Deco, this club tried to make it seem like Deco has a plan for everything. Everything is planned with him. He's got a plan A, plan B, plan C, which is all a bunch of lies. There is no plan B when it comes to Deco. There's always plan A or bust. And when plan A doesn't work, then we panic and when we make an emergency signing. When it comes to Alemany, when he was in charge, this man in his first full transfer window, summer transfer window, during a time when Barcelona were on their financial knees, we were on our knees in the financial, right? We had to take out economic levers just to compete in the transfer window. And even despite all of that, even losing our greatest player of all time because we couldn't offer him a new deal financially, Mateu Alemany in his first season brought in Rafinha, he brought in Koundé, he brought in Lewandowski, he brought in the players like Marcos Alonso, Frank Kessié, and Hector Bellerin on a free. He made 8 signings in his first season at the club. And in his second season, in the 23-24 season, he brought in Gundogan on a free. He brought in João Felix on loan. He brought in Jean Cancelo on loan. And I think he was the one who also brought Victor Roque. I might be wrong. But despite all that, he always got deals done. And one thing about Mateu Alemany, what made him such an incredible sporting director, is that he was so good at multitasking. He had his targets of the players he wanted, but also he didn't always put all his eggs in one basket. He didn't just sit there and focus on one signing and obsess over one signing and completely overlook the whole squad. He was the kind of guy who always looked at his main target, but also was just looking at other targets that were available. When you look at this transfer window, we signed Gordon and Adeyemi. We got Gordon deal signed early. We got the Adeyemi deal signed out of nowhere, and that's all we've done. Yeah, we still have Biseu, but he's one for the future. Now compare that to what would have happened if Alemany was in charge. Let me give you guys a scenario of what would have happened. We would have signed Gordon. We would have signed Adeyemi. But you know who else would have signed for Barca? Bernardo Silva. And before people say that, oh, Omar, he wouldn't have signed, go look at Alemany's track record at Barcelona. He got Gundogan, Frank Kessié, and Aubameyang on a free. This man was the king of free transfers. He always got free transfers. And he got the free and he would have gotten the free transfer of Bernardo Silva sorted out before the World Cup. The moment that he was available, and remember, and for those people who are saying he might not have wanted Bernardo, he tried to sign Bernardo Silva at Atletico Madrid. When it comes to Bernardo Silva, and when it comes to Alemany, he would have gotten that deal done before the World Cup had even started. Denzel Dumfries went for 25 million. Bargain. I mean, this man literally brought in players like Marcos Alonso on a free, who were actually bargains. Inigo Martinez, he got him on a free, who was a bargain. A player like Denzel Dumfries, who would have been a bargain in the transfer window, he would have gotten that deal done. He would have brought in Gordon. He would have brought in Adeyemi. And when it comes to the Alvarez saga, he would have had options. He would have looked at Osimhen. He would have looked at other players. He would have looked at the Harry Kane situation even harder. He would have looked at Osimhen even harder. He would have inquired about these players because he would have put it out there to the position where he would say, okay, if we don't get Alvarez, I'm going to go for this guy. I'm not going to waste any time because there are other positions that we need to sort it out. And speaking of other positions that need to be sorted out, another position that he would have definitely put a lot of emphasis on was the defense. He wouldn't have cared what Flick said. Okay? This man was making the signings for the club when Xavi was in charge. It wasn't Xavi telling him the players he wanted. He got the players that he felt that Xavi needed. And he would have done the same for Flick. He would have looked at that team and said, okay, this defense has cost us 2 seasons. Guess what, guys? We're going to go and get Laporte. Laporte just cooked in the World Cup with Kobashi in the defense. We're getting him. Grimaldo, experience in the fullback positions, we're getting him. That's the kind of guy that Alemany was. Alemany got deals done. It wasn't always about the primary target. He focused on his primary target, but he also looked at the squad signings. Squad signings that the club needed. The kind of signings that would have calmed the fans down and be like, okay, well, we didn't get the primary target in Alvarez, but at least we're getting deals done. But Deco is the polar opposite of that. But Deco is, every season, Barca fans, we all go into the transfer window frustrated. Why? Because we spend the whole transfer window months, weeks upon weeks, focusing on one deal, One deal so long until the start of the season, and then there's panic everywhere. When the fans start losing their minds and start complaining, then we make an emergency signing. You don't believe me? How did we sign Rashford last season? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, when Nico Williams shafted us, and then Luis Diaz, who, remember, at the time, he wanted to move to Barca. He wanted to join Barca. I mean, his father was literally talking about his dream was to be a Barca player. Guess what? He didn't want to wait anymore. He made the move to Bayern Munich. And then all of a sudden, and the day that Lamine Yamal was being given the number 10 jersey, you go to the Barcelona YouTube page. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? There was nothing but Deco out spammed all over the chat. And then wouldn't you know it, that same week, we end up agreeing terms to bring Rashford on loan. This is the problem. And this is why I have never been impressed by Deco. And I'm telling you all, ladies and gentlemen, watch out for this transfer window. Because this saga with Alvarez could end up with Barcelona having egg on their face. And it will be the biggest embarrassment and humiliation going into the new season. And when you look at Real Madrid signing every single player that they want, getting ready for the new season, it should put fear in your heart, ladies and gentlemen. It should put fear in your hearts. But maybe I'm just tripping. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Everything I've talked about, guys. Do you guys think I'm overreacting when it comes to Deco? Or would you agree with me that Alemany was a better sporting director than Deco, guys? Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure you guys smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. As always, it's Barca. Take care.